Hello my friend, be welcome here to one more video on this channel, and in this video I'll talk about the city that in my opinion is one of the best cities for the foreign here in Brazil. Obviously, in my opinion, okay? Maybe you have a different opinion, you wanna a different climate, maybe you don't like hot climate, whatever, but in my opinion is one of the best cities. Obviously there are other good cities here in Brazil too, okay, but this is one of the best, and I will tell you why in this video. I'll talk about my city here, Fortaleza, that is in the state of Ceará, northeast Brazil. I will show you here pros and cons of living here, okay. In advance, I will tell you there are much more pros for those who make money in strong currency than cons. I will give you an overview of the city in this video, talk about rent, about cost of living, everything you really need to know about Fortaleza, Brazil. So let's start here with the pros and cons of living here, okay? Here in Brazil, we have, in general, all the cities, we have two major problems, okay? The first problem is the violence, the crime rate, okay, that are majorly in big capitals. As Brazil has the same laws for all the country, generally we observe the same problems for all over the place, okay? When a city becomes too big, the city begins to experience the same problems from the north to the south. But my city here, Fortaleza, has the same problems all capitals have, the crimes. And we have another big, huge problem here in Brazil, that is the purchase power. The purchase power here for who works and live here is insanely low. I'll not give you details about this because it's not the focus of this video, but if you make money in a strong currency, you have solved this problem. You will not have this problem. You have only benefits here. And about the crimes and the violence in Brazil, if you have money, you can easily overcome this, like me say, crimes problem, because you will live probably in a place with a good security, private security. If you go to main points in the city, you usually will have private security there, you have public safety, like in the beach side of the city, the touristic beach in the city that I will talk about in this video. You have a lot of police there, so you will not experience this kind of problem. If you go to shopping centers, you have like bunkers too, with private security, you will not experience this problem. So, despite we have this problem here, if you have money, you don't experience this problem here. If you go like countryside beaches, we have excellent and beautiful and amazing beaches here in the state. You will not experience crimes there because the cities usually are too small and too native. You doesn't have a critical amount of people there to have crime problems in these kinds of regions. So if you have money, to summarize everything, you will not experience crimes and violence here in Brazil. So I've talked about the cons, and what are the pros, okay? The first advantage here is the location. If you are talking about Brazil, here Fortaleza has a privileged location in relation to Europe, in relation to the United States. Which means that if you are flying to one of these places, you can have relatively faster flights in relation to the south. If you are in the south, the flights will be usually longer. So you'll be more tired to go to your native country, you experience longer hours of flight. I'm not talking about the cost of flying it, because many times the cost is not cheaper than if you go from the south to the Europe. Many times it's the same price, but here in Fortaleza you experience less hours. So if you go from Fortaleza to Portugal, you experience between 7 to 8 hours, okay, of flight, which is not a quick flight, but it's better than São Paulo, Rio Grande do Sul, Santa Catarina, the south and southeast states. That is a much longer flight. The second advantage that I would point here is that Fortaleza is a big metropolis. It's not insanely big like big capitals we have in the United States, or it's not big as huge as São Paulo that is at the southeast Brazil. It's not that big, but it's big enough to have plenty of variety of restaurants, of parties, of things to do at night. So you have a huge variety of things to do in the city. And the restaurants here, generally you have a big variety of them and they are very good. There are cheap restaurants and even the expensive restaurants, if you convert to dollars or euros, it's not that expensive. You will pay a much more expensive price for the same kind of meal if you are in the United States. You certainly will have to pay a much more. The third advantage of living here in Fortaleza are the beaches that the state here, Ceará, offers. Here in Ceará, we have a lot of nice beaches. Really, if you like beaches, if you like hot water and really are a big fan of beaches, okay, you'll find the best beaches in Brazil, I could say, because the water here is hot. Some beach, we have a lot of beaches in the south, in the southeast, but the water is not always hot. Depends in the month of the year you go there. But here the water is always hot. You can practice like surfing, kite surfing here. There are some beaches that you can practice kite surfing, some beaches near Fortaleza here, the capital, is more kite surfing, but if you go to the countryside and go like Paracuru, that is a countryside, there is a beach in the countryside, it's an excellent beach to practice surfing. There is Taíba, that next to Paracuru, that's another beach excellent for surfing. If you go to Beberibe, it's another beach, an excellent beach for surfing. And you have touristic beaches. Paracuru, as I mentioned, is an excellent beach to surf and to like go to the weekends, and like it's touristic there, but there are beaches a lot more touristic than Paracuru. Like Jericoacoara is one of the most beautiful beaches in Brazil. There are flights that go there from all over Brazil straight to Jericoacoara. Another advantage of here Fortaleza is the cost of living, okay? It used to be a lot cheaper, okay? The price after 2020 has increased a lot, but it's still very affordable for the foreigners, okay? If you are in a couple, let me say, and you make like $2,000 and you are in a couple, it represents 10,000 reais for the couple, which is nice, okay? I'm not saying that you live like a king with $2,000 here in Brazil, but this amount is enough, let me say, to live in a nice neighborhood with nice security, have access to private health, eat in home well, going out like 2 times a week, eating out like 2 times a week, enjoying some beats, and not having a very high standard of living, but have a modest life. I'm not saying you are going to live in the beach side of the city. The main touristic point, okay, you will find the rent there are a lot more expensive, but it's not that expensive. Let me say you can find like rents for like $1,000 per month, which is pretty expensive to Fortaleza, but it's still very affordable for foreigners. But you can find in nearby regions rents for like $600 per month, let me say like this, in nice apartments with good private security and next to the beach. Now let's get a quick overview from the city, okay? So here's Fortaleza. We see that is a very large city, okay? And I will not spend too much time in this overview in the city, because I will need hours and hours to do this kind of overview. But I will explore here, let me say, the nicest places here in Fortaleza, okay, let me say like this. The nicest neighborhoods here in Fortaleza. Let's start by the tourist beach point here in Fortaleza, that is Beira-Mar. Here we see the neighborhood of Meireles, and here are located the most expensive rents here in Fortaleza. You can find the rent in the the touristic beach point here in Fortaleza for something about, for two persons, something about $1,000 or $1,200, something like this. There are some rents that are cheaper that are in this neighborhood, but that are like $700, $800, but the nicest apartments in front of the beach are like $1,000 median. And here is the most expensive place in Fortaleza, the most touristic place. This beach is nice for walking in the day, whatever. You have plenty of restaurants and things to do in this neighborhood, in this area. It is a pretty safe environment. You don't have to worry about anything there, like being robbed or something like this, okay? Just walk in the touristic zone that you are pretty safe. Now let's go straight ahead to another beach zone in Fortaleza. This is, people go a lot there, okay? It's inside the city, that is Praia do Futuro. Praia do Futuro is not as safe, let me say like this, as Beira-Mar. But we have a lot of restaurants in front of the beach here. It's very huge, very large, lots and lots and lots of restaurants. The rent is a lot cheaper than Beira-Mar, but at the same time is not as safe as Beira-Mar, okay? Now we'll show you the neighborhood of Aldeota, that is a high, medium class, let me say like this, medium high and high class neighborhood. Here you can find the most variety of restaurants you have in Fortaleza. All kinds of restaurants you can imagine. It's a very residential neighborhood too. And you have a lot of parks in this region, are really nice parks, okay? Are like small parks that you can walk, and you have, are pretty safe, these parks, okay? Obviously, I'm not saying that, okay, when I say safe, I'm not saying that you are gonna like record video in the middle of the streets, okay? Generally in Brazil, it doesn't have this kind of confidence of just staring at the middle of the street with your cell phone, because here in Brazil we have in general a problem that likes to take cell phones, because cell phone is not something very cheap as we see in the United States, in Europe, so they can sell this very easy and make money with this. So unfortunately, in the case of cell phones, be aware with them, because the criminals, this is the target generally, because criminals usually focus on this kind of thing. There's nothing special in other countries, but here, unfortunately, it's valuable. So here in Aldeota we have a lot of parks and a lot of nice condominiums with good prices, okay? For two persons you can find, let me say, for $600, $700, nice condominiums with private security and excellent quality. You can find around this kind of money. Another very famous neighborhood here in Fortaleza is Edson Queiroz that I'm showing here. This neighborhood is a lot more a new neighborhood, let me say like this. It has been growing in the last decades, and it became a very rich neighborhood here in Fortaleza. Things here are generally far away. You need a car if you live in this neighborhood, because things are a little bit far away. It's like, let me say, United States, when things are very far away, so you cannot walk and go walking to the places like you do in Beira-Mar, like you do in Aldeota. So if you are looking for a neighborhood to like go walking to the place, Edson Queiroz is not recommended. The rents there are not that expensive, okay? You can find in the range from $600 to $800, nice condominiums there too. And there is this shopping center here that is one of the most traditional shoppings and the biggest shoppings here in Fortaleza, that is Iguatemi. Shopping in the center, let me say like this, of the neighborhood. Inside the shopping you'll find everything there, basically. A huge diversity of restaurants, of services there with private security. So this is a highly demand shopping. A lot of people go there not only to buy things, but just to walk by, to eat in restaurants, because it offers a good private security and a nice environment there. You have shows, there are concerts, let me say like shows, are not shows, are concerts, okay? You can see concert there. It's pretty diverse, there is a lot of things to do there. Okay, obviously Fortaleza has a lot of other neighborhoods, but I will not make this video have like 2 hours of length. I hope this video had helped you to understand a little bit more about my city, this nice capital we have here in Brazil, and put your questions in the comment that I will answer. It would be a pleasure for me, okay? And that's it. Thank you and see you in the next video.